You can start lying on your back in Shavasana. See how much you can surrender to gravity. So often our bodies habitually hold on or grip or tighten in certain areas. Notice if you're able, if those areas exist for you, any places where you feel kind of sticky or hardened or clenched. Do a little scan and invite these areas to soften and spread a little bit more. Notice the river of breath moving through you. Notice where your mind goes when you let awareness be open and receptive. Just noticing, not following. And really reining awareness in throughout your practice, and ideally all day long, reining awareness in to the here and now. And this isn't a forceful approach. It's more like training a puppy. Do so with kindness and patience over and over again. Let's begin our movement inquiry with the feet planted and the arms out to a T. Just notice if your positioning, the shape of your spine changed when you planted your feet. Let the shoulders, arms be heavy, hands totally relaxed. Notice how the hands kind of cup a little bit. Feel the weight of your head. Relax your jaw, make sure your teeth are parted. And then one leg stays vertical. So one leg doesn't do a thing here, just stays where it is. And slowly, not crazy slow motion like we often do, but relatively slowly, we're going to rock to the outer edge of the other foot. So that one leg coming into the Baddha Konasana or tree pose shape. Once you get to your end range, just pause there for a moment. And then again, slowly, but not super crazy slow, bring the leg back up to vertical. Let's alternate legs a few times. So as you rock to the outer edge of the foot, notice if the pelvis is shifting over to that side. Notice if this other knee wants to drop in. It's just not what we're doing right now. We're not doing windshield wiper, so that other leg stays vertical. Feel the weight of the leg. And then slowly, with awareness, bring the leg back up to vertical. Find your rhythm here a few more times, really attuning, fine-tuning awareness to notice all the sensations. Maybe some are really big, maybe some are microscopic in nature. One side probably feels different than the other. Maybe about one more time each leg. You can imagine there's a weight on your inner thigh and you resist it a little bit as the leg lowers. And then you press up against it to bring the leg back to vertical. After your second side, whenever that is for you, arms stay out to a T or could come into cactus, just bending the elbows. Feet are still about hip width apart. Feel each toe connecting to the floor. Feel the heels, big toe mounds, baby toe mounds. So legs stay vertical and also to wake up the spine a little bit. So with your exhalation, press the lower spine, lumbar spine down into the ground. And then as you inhale, make a little gap between the lower spine and the floor. Hips are staying down here. So when we root through the spine into the floor, that's spinal flexion. And our small back bend is called extension. When you press the back into the floor, draw your abdominals down toward the floor as well. And then allow the belly to expand with the breath on the inhale, maybe even visualizing breath pouring down below the navel. Maybe visualizing or noticing, connecting to pelvic floor, what happens on the inhale, what happens on the exhale. Letting the pelvic floor open and relax on the inhale. And perhaps incorporating Mula Bandha, the root seal, with the exhale to drawing in and up with the pelvic floor. So more core activation is what that gives us. Gradually make your way back to neutral spine. Interlace your hands behind your head at the very bottom of the skull. Continuing the same movement we just did with the spine, and now adding through the upper body. So when you find your back bend, press the arm bones down. And then when you root your spine, lift your head and lift your shoulder blades up off the ground. Squeeze the elbows together. That's it. Follow your breath, expanding on the inhale, curling up on the exhale. You can still incorporate that abdominal engagement. So abdominals, not just squeezing. It's not a squeezing action. It's a drawing down action at the navel, to the right and to the left of the navel, above and below the navel. So that whole area below the ribs and above the hips, above the pelvis. And you could continue to work with Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor. Let's add a little jaw work here. So as you inhale and arch to your back bend, open your jaw wide like you're yawning. And then exhale, the lips can come back together, but not the teeth. Incorporating now a diagonal reach with the exhalation. So still finding the back bend, rooting the arms, opening the jaw on the inhale, and then exhale, bring the elbows across toward one hip. Squeeze the elbows together on the exhale, that's it. Full breath in, long breath out. We're going slow. Try not to cut the corners. We often skip the inhale movement. You could make it smaller or less intense if that feels right for your body, but still giving equal attention to both ends of the spectrum. Maybe a couple more times per side, just going to depend on your pace. Really lift the shoulder blades up. Deep core engagement on the exhale. After your second side, whenever that is for you, keep the hands underneath the head, hands on the floor, head heavy in the cradle of the hands, right at the bottom of the skull, and let's slide the legs out straight. This next one is our side scrub. So we stay heavy, we stay on the floor, we slide rather than lifting. So we slide into a side bend. If we're side bending to the left elbow slides down toward the left hip, and the right elbow slides overhead along the floor. You can do the movement on the inhale or the exhale, side to side. Really reaching through that overhead reaching elbow, upper arm. Maybe adding a little heel thrust. So whatever elbow sliding back behind you, push the same side heel in the opposite direction. Notice if the front ribs are flaring up toward the ceiling, try to bring them down. Really focusing on side bend without any back bend. You can always stay at the end range or anywhere for a little bit, breathing into it. Maybe turning head and or eyeballs to look toward that overhead reaching elbow. Eventually coming back through to center. Release your arms down by your sides. And just be here, be now, be with what's happening. Next, we'll try the Baddha Konasana slide. So legs are heavy. Slide the outer edge of one foot along the ground. The knee goes directly out to the side. The foot slides up toward the pelvis. And then slide the foot out so the leg straightens again. Alternating legs. Try initiating the movement from the knee rather than the foot. Notice what's happening through the hips, through the lower back, inner thigh, outer hip. And now adding on to turn this into what we call the circular flow. So we start just like we have been, slide the outer edge of the foot along the ground till you're in this tree pose shape. And then rock from the outer edge of this foot to the inner edge of this foot. So the knee comes across the midline, that's it. And then slide the inner edge of the foot along the ground to straighten the leg again. That's it. Alternating sides, go slow. Giving every moment of the movement equal attention. Then the next time the legs are straight, just pause. You can take your arms out to a T. And then slide outer edge of either foot along the ground. And then plant the foot. So knee points up, either leg, doesn't matter. And now we'll work the unwinding. So we just work this one leg. We rock to the inner edge of the foot, reach the knee away from you and squeeze that glute. Push that inner edge of the foot into the ground. And then come back to center so the foot is planted and the leg is vertical. That's it. Try that a few times. Really reach the knee away. Lift that side of the pelvis. Shoulder stays down. Let's do that several more times with this one leg. You could rotate head opposite that direction the leg is sort of going. One more time on this side. And then rock to the outer edge of the foot, slide the leg out straight, or inner edge, doesn't matter. Slide the leg out straight. And second side, you can slide the outer edge of the foot along the ground, plant the foot, and we work from here, rocking to the inner edge of the foot, dig, push the inner edge of that foot into the ground, come back to center, flowing in and out, go slow, reach the knee away from you so that hip lifts on purpose and squeeze that glute. Maybe rotating head opposite. Shoulders are heavy. One more time on this side. And then you can slide the inner or the outer edge of the foot along the ground to straighten the leg. And now at the same time, both legs slide to Baddha Konasana. Outer edges of the feet slide along the ground. Soles of the feet come together and then just slide to straighten again. Go slow. Let's do that a few more times. Imagine there's a weight on your inner thighs. Notice what you notice through the spine, through the legs. You can try initiating the movement from the knees rather than the feet. Next time the feet are together, the knees are apart. Bring your hands to your navel center area. Let your knees drop as they're willing to do so. And then without lifting your head, you're just going to brush the hands down from the navel toward the inner knees. So just depending on your arm length and the position of your legs, your hands might not get all the way down to the inner knees, but just go as far as you can. So the arms can lift for sure. So bring the hands to the navel and then brush down toward the inner knees, then pick up your hands and do it a few times. Apply a bit of pressure here. A little lymphatic brush. A couple more times. And then keep the legs as they are. Bring the hands under the head once again at the bottom of the skull. We're going to combine our spinal undulation with like a flapping of our legs. So with your inhale, stretch the knees away from each other, press the arm bones down. You can arch the spine away from the floor into a back bend. Exhale, curl up, flatten your back into the ground, squeeze the knees together. Ride the breath stream. Feel expansion away from the midline on the inhale and hugging in toward the midline with the exhale. That's it. You can incorporate that deeper core work that we started with if you like. So as the back roots draw the abdominal wall back toward the floor too. Connecting to the pelvic floor, can let it soften and spread on the inhale. Draw it in and up with the exhale. The last one. And then bring the head down and the arms down and slide the legs straight. And rest in awareness. Bring your arms out to a T again, palms up. Bring your knees into your chest. And then keep one leg where it is, and we'll circle the other knee. So it'll be more like a half circle. Go slow enough so you can really find that full range of motion. Switch directions, same leg. Once the leg comes back into the midline, other leg, it's like a half circle. Like touch the edges of your range. Switch direction, same leg. Good, and then once you're back to the midline, back to center, we'll circle both knees, but the legs aren't staying together, so it's kind of like that froggy style. Knees open away from each other, and then circle back in together. Let's keep feet together when we do this. Once the knees come back in, switch directions, same kind of froggy circle where the feet are staying together, knees are separating, and then coming back together. And then from here, bring the soles of the feet all the way together, feet airborne, knees apart. See if you can reach to hold your feet or your ankles or your shins if the feet are too far away. Stretch the inner knees away from each other. Press the feet in toward each other. And try bringing the feet a little bit more up toward your chest. You might experiment with neutral pelvis here. So that's pubic bone and frontal hip points. Bony protrusions at the front of the pelvis, all staying horizontal in a triangle table rather than curling the sacrum, the tailbone up off the floor. So depending on your range of motion, that might not be possible. If you're going to grab your feet, then the sacrum will lift. And it's not wrong, it's just a different approach. So when the pelvis is neutral, there's a little gap between the lower spine and the floor. And the arms, like for me, when I'm in neutral pelvis, my arms have to be straight. Find what works for you. We're seeking a moderate amount of sensation. Couple more breaths here into the back ribs. And then from here, keep your feet together, keep your knees wide, bring your hands to your inner thighs, get a grip on your inner thighs, kind of pull them toward you as you slowly lower the feet to the ground. Keep pulling your thighs toward you as you slowly slide your feet away from you to straighten your legs. And then once the legs are straight, release your arms to the floor. Drop into stillness. Notice what you notice. One more time, we're going to take feet together, knees apart. This time feet are on the floor, so Supta Baddha Konasana. If you feel a lot of tension or strain in your inner thighs, you can put blocks under your knees or thighs. We're not going to be here for very long. See if you can kind of scoot your upper spine, kind of walk it away from your lower spine to lengthen out through the back a little bit. And then maybe take hands to the elbows and arms up around the head. If that pretty much works for you, notice if the bottom ribs are popping up toward the ceiling. Absorb them down toward the floor. And reach the elbows back behind you. So the shoulders will rise up and kind of crowd the ears. We don't want to resist that. Breathe into the back, breathe into the sides of the torso. Release your, let's actually keep the arms overhead. Slide the legs out straight. Go slow. So legs are straight. You can keep hold of the elbows, or if it's better for you, stretch the arms straight, or if you just rather something a little different, arms straight, reaching overhead. So full body stretch. Reach from the elbows, even if the arms are straight. And if the arms are straight, palms can be up or facing each other. Push the heels away from you, bring the front ribs down. Feel the stretch through the right side of the body. Feel the stretch through the left side of the body. Feel the stretch through the back body. And the front. Whole body elongating. One more breath. And then gently, slowly release. Arms down by your sides, resting, watching and listening inwardly. Okay, moving slowly, moving gently. You can bend your knees, roll to your side, and make your way up to all fours. We don't need the blanket, so if you want to remove it now, you can. Some of you might like extra padding underneath your knees, so you could adjust the blanket accordingly. So we're setting up in all fours here with the wrists right beneath the shoulders, the fingers spread, rooting through each finger, rooting through each knuckle, knees hips width apart, slightly shied in from the hips. So not directly under the hips, little bit forward of the hips. Okay, so we have this action where we're pushing the floor away and then just slightly softening between the shoulder blades or just slightly releasing the chest toward the floor. The other action is with the shoulders, but we can make it happen from the floor. So hands are isometrically dialing outward, like you're screwing your hands into the floor away from each other. Okay, and then just take one hand to your back skull. Make sure your chin is slightly tucked so the gaze is down, and press the back of the head into the hand. So we don't lift the chin when we do that. The chin stays tucked and the whole head rises up a little bit. So you can keep that alignment with your head and bring your hand back down. Reaffirm all the alignment, all the engagement. Take a breath here. And then if you have a block, placing the block on, actually, let's hold off. Yeah, let's place the block on the sacrum. That'll help us to feel if the pelvis is staying neutral or not. Okay, and so we slowly slide one leg back to straighten, slide the foot along the ground. Pelvis isn't changing. And then slide the foot back in, knees back where it started. Try that with the other leg. The pelvis, just keep eagle eye the pelvis, that it's not moving, the leg is moving free of, separate from the pelvis. Your block falls off, you lost your neutral pelvis.
I had to adjust.
I'm kidding. Okay, so slide back. We're gonna do a couple more times each side. Make sure you still have that pushing the floor away with your hands, slight softening between the shoulder blades, dialing the hands outward, rooting through each knuckle. You can have that deep core engagement to help support the back. Last time, second side. Take your time if you're on a different pace than me. And then knees are down, knees are a little bit forward of the hips. You can just leave the block there. We're going to use it again in a moment. We're going to flip the hands, palms up, fingers point forward. You might lose the block. You can kind of lean back a little if you want more. So the hands, we're stretching the wrists here. It's not a straight down pressure. It's an isometric drag back pressure. I think arms straight here. I think if you bend the elbows, you lose that stretch to the forearms and the wrists. And flip the hands back so they're grounded, palms down. If you lost the block, put it back on your sacrum. You just have one thing more in all fours. Just reaffirm all that alignment, all that engagement through the hands, through the shoulders, with your head, your neck. And then we're going to do a couple of hip cars. Okay, so we draw one knee in toward the chest. Hips aren't moving here at all. So this is leg moving separate from the hips. Take the knee out to the side. as much as you can. And then bring the knee back. As you bring the knee back, we can internally rotate. So knee in, foot out, and knee up, but not by sinking through the belly or bending the elbows. So be sure arms are straight and your core is pulling in, your abdominals are pulling in. And then when you complete that circle, bring the knee back in toward the chest. And then bring the knee back. So that glute engages as you push the ceiling up with your foot. See if you can dial the foot out and the knee in a little bit, internal rotation. And then change to external rotation as the knee circles out to the side. And then back in. Let's switch legs here once the knee comes down. And second side, knee in toward the chest. Nothing's changing through the upper body or the hips. Open the knee out to the side like you're a dog at a fire hydrant. And then keep that circle, keep working that end range motion. Knee comes up, foot goes out, away from the midline. And then in through center, knee in toward the chest. Send the knee back, foot up toward the ceiling. You can dial the foot out, knee in a little bit, internal. To external, knee out wide, knee circling wide. These are really hard, everybody. So if you're struggling, I'm with you. Knee in and then knee down. Okay, and then you can take the block off. Sit back onto your heels and circle out your wrists. Other direction, full range of motion. Shake them out. Good. Snap, snap. And then from here, come back to all fours and make your way back into down dog. So if you've been on carpet, grab your mat. If your blanket's still on your mat, take it off. And we'll meet for a few breaths in downward facing dog. Take your time. Push the floor away. Make sure each knuckle is rooted. Dialing the hands outward, just like we did in all fours. Take some small steps forward to standing forward bend. Knees can bend on the way and when you're here in your forward bend. And then push the feet into the floor. Arms can sweep all the way up to standing. Bringing hands to heart center. Samasthiti. Standing with equanimity. Connect to your breath. Connect to the here and now. Hands to the hips. And setting up for a Vrikshasana or a tree pose. Let's start with the weight in the left leg. So a lot of times we then forget about the left leg and we're all concerned with lifting the right leg, but how is the left foot connecting to the ground? Rooting, rising, toes, and then coming up onto the right toes, or right big toe, turning the knee out to the side. Let's not use the hand. Let's let the leg lift the leg rather than the hand lifting the leg. However much you're able. So below the knee, above the knee, it could be on the knee. It's not critical that it stay away from the knee. You can push the foot into the leg into the foot. Unless you have knee stuff going on, then you wouldn't want to press on it. Standing up tall. Keeping your pelvis pointing forward. Try drawing the knee back. Maybe bringing hands to heart center or stretching the arms up. Standing leg glute is engaged. That's going to help balance. Calmly coming back to both feet. Okay, as we switch to balance on the right leg, pay attention to the foot, how it's oriented. We don't want it turned out. We don't want it turned in. The toes are spread. We're rising up as we root down. And then turning the knee out and lift the heel up. Maybe the foot stays partially on the ground, but bring the foot up without the arm. Just bring the leg up with its own power. Press the foot into the leg, press the leg into the foot. Keep the pelvis facing forward. See if you can still take the knee back a little bit. And then maybe changing your arm position. Balance isn't totally static, so you can be kind of surfing around on your foot. There's a wobble that we need to embrace in order to balance, yeah? Squeeze standing leg glute. Coming back to equal standing. Okay, we've got 3 standing asana here. We'll start with the feet wide for warrior 2. So let's start with the left toes turned out. Front heel aligning with back arch. Let's just do hands to the hips here first. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, bend the front knee. And make sure it's tracking directly over the toes, not inward at all. And then push the floor away, straighten the leg. Let's do that a few more times. As you bend into the front leg, still pay attention to the back leg. So root through the outer edge of the back foot and squeeze that back glute. One more time. Push the floor away to straighten. Slowly settle in to the warrior 2 shape. And then stretch the arms away from the midline. And imagine you could wrinkle your mat between your feet. So isometric hugging inward. Back glute is active. Release your arms. Straighten the front leg. Turn that into the back leg. So pivot the toes in. Right toes point straight out. Front heel aligning with back arch. Hands to the hips. Take a breath in. This is moving meditation. We could easily just like flop in and out and not really get much out of it. So inhaling and then exhale, slowly bend into the knee. Really attune to this sensations as you do. As you inhale, push the floor away to straighten the leg. When you exhale, pay attention to the back leg. So we're really rooting to the outer edge of the back foot as we bend into the front leg. One more time. And then staying in our warrior 2 shape, engage the back glute. Imagine you could wrinkle the mat between your 2 feet, hug inward, and then extend through the arms. Release the arms, straighten the front leg. We'll go back to the first side for side angle. So left toes point straight forward, front heel aligning with back arch. You might want your block to the outside of your front foot. Hands to the hips. Hugging the feet in toward each other. Bend the knee. Keep this back glute engaged. And then bring your hand down to the block. Keep rooting to the outer edge of the back foot. Rotate through your ribs. Arm can stretch up toward the ceiling or stretch alongside the ear. I don't know about you, but I have to constantly tell that back glute to fire. It does not want to. I know I'm not alone. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Reach to that top arm. Don't let your front knee cave in. So you can press the leg into the arm a little bit. Notice if the ribs are flaring forward. So we want to try to stack the ribs with the hips. Ribs in line with hips. Last couple breaths, turn your gaze down. Keep spinning your chest up toward the ceiling. Push the floor away to rise. Take your block with you. Pivot your feet for the second side. Placing the block. Hands to the hips. Hug your feet in. Bend the knee. Bring the hand down to the block. Keep hugging in, back glute on. Rotate through your center. Maybe arm rises up. Maybe it stretches all alongside the ear. Really reach through the arm from the back foot. Turn your gaze down, check to see if the knee is caving inward. That's it, press it out toward the arm. Keep rotating your heart skyward. Take the block with you, push the floor away with your feet, rising up. One more time, we're going back to the first side for triangle. Place the block outside the front foot. Let's bring the hands to the hips. Try hugging the feet in toward each other. And then keep the legs straight. Rock the hips back. Torso coming out over the front leg. Hand coming down. Hug the feet in, engage back glute, and then not from the hips, from the ribs, from the spine. Rotate up toward the ceiling. Maybe stretch the arm up. Front ribs pulling in so they're in line with the hips. So it's not a movement of the pelvis, it's a movement of the ribs. Keep spinning hard up, look down. Take your block with you, root and reach to slowly rise. Pivot your feet for the second side. Hands to the hips. Hug the feet in toward each other. Let the hips rock so this back hip rises, this front hip descends. And torso stays long as you hinge to bring your hand down to the block. Rotating through the pelvis, not through the pelvis, through the ribs, through the spine, arm reaching up toward the ceiling. Back glute is on. You can even look to your ribs if they're popping forward. If you can see the bottom of your rib cage, bring it in to align with your hips. Keep spinning hard up. Turn the gaze down. Push feet into the floor. Reach through your arm to rise up. Release the arm down. Bring your feet underneath your frame. Come back to the top of the mat. You can set the block aside off of your mat. Feet about hip width apart. Actually, I take that back. Let's grab the block. Let's place it. Narrow, medium or narrow, depending on you, just above the knees. Okay, and then one hand to your sacrum, the other hand to your back skull. Okay, so our tendency is to lift the chin, but let's instead slightly tuck the chin and press the back of the head a little bit into the hand. The hand is resisting. So we're keeping this line of energy from the back skull to the sacrum as we sit back into chair pose. Squeeze block. Stack your ribs with your hips. Keep the head where it is. Reach the arms forward and really reach the arms. So the shoulders protract. Chest is still lifted. That's it. From here, you can remove the block or you can keep it there. We're going to touch the floor and walk the feet back to downward facing dog. Push the floor away, dial the hands out, squeeze the block if it's there. Ribs stacked with hips. So there's like absorption of the front ribs toward the back body. Lower the knees down to the ground. Take the block out and come to sit. Grab whatever you like to sit on if there's something, so pelvis can be neutral when you're sitting. We're coming into Baddha Konasana. The soles of the feet together, knees apart. Take hold of your feet or your ankles or whatever you can grab. You can have your feet quite close. And pelvis is still neutral at this point with this vertical triangle table. Okay, so staying upright for now, holding the feet or whatever you've got your grip on, draw the shoulders down, lift the chest up, and stretch the inner knees away from each other. Slightly tuck the chin. You can place your hand behind your head or imagine it's there, and just a little bit of a backward pressing of the back skull without changing that chin tuck. Now let's not change anything except the hip hinge. So our forward fold, and we hinge from the hips. Keep the head where it is. Keep the chest lifted. So the spine is neutral, not rounding, not in flexion at all. Let's bring elbows in toward the sides of the body to add a little bit of shoulder blade retraction. A few more breaths here. You might feel like that's the end range, and then when you give your body a little bit of time and space, it relaxes and trusts that you can go further. But we don't want to get greedy for depth. Okay, root to rise. Open the legs out wide. Toes point up, so do the knees. Let's bring hands onto the floor, just behind the hips here. Can flex your feet a bit. Press the thighs down. Press the hands down. Chest lifts. Collarbones broaden. Slight tuck of the chin. If it's helpful, hand to the back skull or visualize. Remember what that feels like. Slightly press the head back. Notice if with a lift of the chest, the bottom ribs are flaring forward. Again, let's bring them in. It's this inward, downward, almost backward action. So in toward the midline, a little bit back, so they're stacked over the hips, and a little bit down toward the pelvis, but we're still lifting the chest. It's complicated. You could stay right here, or same thing we did with our Baddha Konasana. So it's a pure hip hinge. You know, the hands will eventually leave the ground, but don't change anything. Don't change your head. Don't change that slight retraction in the shoulder blades. You could add a little isometric hugging in of the legs toward each other. Maybe eventually your hands come in front of you, but try to keep the chest open. And again, take your time. Go slow. Don't chase sensation. Just be open to receive what your body wants in this moment. So even if you eventually bring your hands to your feet, there's still a slight retraction of the shoulder blades. There's still a little bit of shoulder blades moving toward the spine. Yeah, that was a good adjustment. Press the legs down to slowly rise up. Beautiful. Bring the legs together. And let's have the block handy. Coming onto your back again. We'll work a little mobility bridge and then a supported bridge. So with your block, measure the block long, low setting on the floor, and it's between your butt and your foot. So the feet, so what I'm saying is that the feet are kind of a block length away from you, give or take. So feet not right under the hips, further away. What we're going for is our neutral pelvis. So you can bring your hands in that Trimurti Mudra, triangle shape. So the fingertips connect to the pubic bone and the outer edges, The heels of your hands-ish connect to your ASIS, those bony points in the front of your pelvis. And we're making that level. So if that's tough for you, walking the feet a little further away from you will make it more accessible. So we have this neutral pelvis, which means we've got a little bit of a space between the lower back and the floor. You can walk, scoot the upper spine a little bit away from the lower spine. And then we'll take the block on the medium setting just below the knees, between the thighs. If you had to lose the pelvic neutrality to get it there, just check in again. It's sneaky, it doesn't want to do it for many of us. Okay, so we're feeling each toe on the ground, balls of the feet, baby toe mounds, inner heels, outer heels. And then from here, lift the toes, rock to the heels. Pelvis is going to stay neutral this whole time. So I won't keep saying it, but you keep checking it. Press the heels into the ground. Lift the pelvis about a fist's height away from the floor. Once you're there, squeeze the block and engage your glutes. You can take a look at your pelvis if you're not sure. Breathing here. The glutes are engaged, we're squeezing into the block, and then if you want to add a couple of elements, it's that whole abdominal wall drawing downward. It's like there's suction cups on the inner border of your back, and there's suctioning the outer abdominals inward. And then Mula Bandha in and up with the pelvic floor. Keep all that engagement. Bring the soles and the toes back down to the ground. Feet a little closer together, Dorothy. Yeah. And now lift the pubic bone so you can tuck the tailbone under and try to articulate one vertebra at a time down, pelvis to the ground. Take the block out. Let's actually open the arms out to a T and do a little windshield wiper, the knees. You can just be really relaxed with this. Gradually come back to center. And now we'll place a block underneath the sacrum. So we're in a low supported bridge. Okay, so from here you can, again, kind of scoot that upper spine away from the lower spine to lengthen. You can bring your hands to the bottom front of your rib cage. For a little feedback and a little reminder, so let's take a breath in here. And then when you exhale, move the ribs in toward the midline. So the hands aren't pushing, they're just helping or reminding. Ribs move in toward the midline, they move down toward the floor and down toward the pelvis. And then see if you can keep that new positioning to some degree as you breathe in. So the breath can be more into the sides of the rib basket and the back ribs. With your exhale, you can exaggerate that, longer exhalation, ribs in, ribs down, ribs back. Kind of coaxing the ribs back into alignment with the hips. One more time. And then you can stay right here if you like. You can continue that if that feels helpful. Option to straighten your legs up toward the ceiling or straighten your legs with your heels on the ground. You straighten the legs along the floor. Maybe you'd like to hold the elbows up around the head. Send a little energy through the heels if you straighten the legs. Last few breaths here. Sometimes you can straighten the legs, but then if you take the arms alongside the ears, the back starts to complain. So it's not all or nothing. Okay, let's bring the feet back to the ground. Lift the pelvis, remove the block. Tuck the tailbone so you can articulate one vertebra at a time. So we wave or roll through the spine to lower down. And then stretch out your legs and set yourself up for Shavasana. Maybe putting layers back on or supporting your thighs or your head, eye pillow, whatever helps you settle into stillness. And let it all go. Drop into the vast field of awareness. Come back into the river of breath. And become aware of your body once again. And start to move and stretch and reawaken. And as you feel ready, you can gently rise up to a seat. Let's bring hands, palms together at heart center. And take a breath in. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you. Namaste.